happening. I've said this from the beginning, y'all. When things are happening, when there's a lot happening in your home, in your life, things can get messy, right? I don't know about you, but like when I get overwhelmed and people are throwing things, like do this, do this, do this, I'm just like, quit it, one thing at a time. Let's go to it when it gets overwhelming. And your attitude can change. It just can. That's just life. And I believe December, Sebastian's birthday, we got Christmas, we got the thing with his daughter. We've got the protection orders against each other, running through the airports, and all of that. And we'll break it down. Julie, my love. And Julie, as our new Pearl member, if you, thank you so much, Julie. If you guys want to become a member, always appreciated. Really helps out the channel. This is one of Sebastian's teachers. I have taken out the name for that reason. You'll just have, thank you, Julie. You'll just have to trust me, but it is one of his teachers. I think of you, someone wrote, I think of you every time I think of him. And his teacher replied, I feel someone knows something. I listen to days, all caps, of interviews from all sorts of people, DCS, TBI, sheriffs, etc. They used my conference room. Someone knows what happened to him, where he is. That is what keeps playing in my mind day in and day out. Where is Sebastian? It makes zero sense. And she replied again, I love you too. It's crazy to me to think I talked to him, meaning Sebastian, like 48 hours before he was gone. Gone where? We don't know. But someone does. I feel certain, in all caps, in that after all I heard, saw, and have known about him. Y'all, these teachers, principals know. They are the ones that had to make these reports. Thank you, Get Lockered, my dear. Thank you so much. Dustin, I use your channel as a positive example in my life tonight. I gave you credit and link to you. I hope it is. Of course, absolutely. Thank you so much, my dear. Really do appreciate it. Thank you. So, Nina was not happy when Faith returned from CNK after Christmas. Nina filed for emergency orders to put in place. Yes, I have the I have all of the records of when they all filed things and all that. I've shown some of that as well. So Nina, thank you so much, my dear. What happened tonight? Start from the beginning. I am lost. I missed something. So tonight, well, we're gonna go over that tonight. Tony was on Mr. and Mrs. E's channel, and they Tony talks about what happened. 5 CPS reports since 2022. 5 CPS reports since 2022. That's pretty crazy.
Okay.
And our guest is probably like, what's going on?
Our guest is like, what? Hello, guest. We just realized you were there.
I'm so sorry. But thank you for joining us, Tony. We've got Tony Mathis here, of course, the spokesperson for Seth Rogers. And we appreciate you joining us. How are you doing today, Tony?
I'm doing good, Mr. E. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear perfectly. You guys did great with the show with Seth the other day. We were just talking about this earlier. I've never seen a live like that where it was moving so fast. And I think they had it slowed down like the slowest rate as possible. We were modding, and trying to block the trolls and that kind of thing. And it was almost impossible that you couldn't even click on them fast enough.
I'm going to talk about something else that we've talked about before, but now I feel more confident talking about it, and I'll tell you what it is in this broadcast, but later.
Success. You guys had a great, a lot of interest. There's still obviously tens of thousands of people that are still following this case, and so supportive of the effort to bring Sebastian back home. And so you all did great. It was a very interesting interview. But I appreciate you joining us today. And I think that if I understand correctly, what you were interested in discussing was maybe helping to clear up some timeline issues. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'd say that's accurate. First off, Mrs. E, how are you and Auntie?
How was that baby still in the house? I'm livid. I mean, I think there are people that can manipulate, and I think when they went there and they saw, a nice orderly house and all that, they thought, okay, everything's fine here. My opinion.
Very good. Well,
first thing I can tell your audience is that you guys are here tonight with.
Let me get to the point.
It was the fact that a year to get his home in order. It gives something to the, I think it started out, September, October, that kind of thing. Even the dates aren't correct. I heard another rumor that something to the effect of Seth was told that, well, they had given Seth a year to get his home in order. And because he couldn't get his home in order, they were going to do something different with Sebastian. That's kind of like, it's kind of like a lot of the other things that have happened there locally. It's just not factual. I'll take you guys back.
It doesn't even make sense that Seth would want to put him in any home or anything else. That's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, to be quite honest with you. Especially whenever they have the primary, that's a 50-50 custody, but they have the primary care, if you will, of Sebastian. Seth wanted his son whenever, and this had been going on for almost a year. For almost a year, they wanted to put Sebastian in a place before we even knew about it. Was what in California? No,
First off,
no, it wasn't in California.
We're familiar with some of these DCS reports that have been talked about over and over again. I think it's important for your audience to know that over the last 2 years, there's been 5 different DCS reports that were filed. Those reports started in 22.
So, did you say 5, Tony?
Correct.
Okay.
Are these all in the Proudfoot home?
Correct.
Okay,
Now,
I don't think I've ever heard that number before.
From what I understand, allegedly 4 of them are on Edgar, 1 of them on KK.
so what I can tell you, obviously, we are not allowed to discuss the content of those reports.
Right.
I can tell you that whether they're in one parent's name or the other step parent's name, the allegations are consistently against the step parent. So you can have a DCS report that's filed that may be in the mom's name, but it may be regarding the environment that she is allowing her child to be in. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So let's go back to the first of these DCS reports was filed in 22. So fast forward to 23, which would have been, let's say, a year ago at this time.
And what did I tell you guys? January 26th or January 28th is what I have been told, but it could be up to the 1st of February.
Katie and Chris were actually trying to get Seth to take Sebastian a year before everybody knew that the plan.
So I'm looking at the calendar here, and if I go to February of 2024, if it was the 28th, that was on a Thursday. We've got Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, about Tuesday, just a few days, and then Edgar is out. Why can't you say where you was after the 5th or up until right after the 5th? Edgar, what have I been saying?
Plan was for him to go to live with Seth. So you look at, I want to say October of 22. Now these dates are rough. They're within a month or so of being accurate.
Okay.
But in October of 22, they had tried to get Seth to take Sebastian then.
Hold on. I was looking at February. I'm so used to going to February. You're right. Sorry. January 28th. That was a Sunday. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Yeah. Something's wrong here.
This is not something that a lot of people know.
Thank you for correcting that.
Well,
I have not heard this, no.
What they're talking about when they say that things could not get in order for him to get Sebastian, it had nothing to do with his home. It had to do with the fact that they wanted him to take Sebastian in the fall of 22. And he had tried to get signed up for the online program with Clarksville schools, and there was a waiting list, and he could not get approved. So he had a conversation with.
You know what burns my britches? What burns my britches is the way when Josh asked him on Smileys, is there any open, active cases? Well, the case that was opened in January, the end of January or the 1st of February, Seth cannot get a hold of that one. Seth does not know because it's active. It's active. And it's been allegedly going on since then. Oh, his voice was quivering. He didn't like that question. Didn't like it one bit, did he? Yep, Nina, yep. Bingo. Oh, yes. Yep. I think that was the belt one. Yes, absolutely. Yep.
Chris and Katie, and told them that he really thought that it would be smart for them to continue to let him finish out the school year and not move him to another physical school in the middle of the year. So that's what happened. He stayed in his, stayed at the school he was at for the remainder of 22 and part of 23. So
Yep. That was it.
fast forward to November of 23. We know that there were more DCS reports filed in that month. And
Hold on,
we
what
know
was that?
on or about filed in that. We know that there were more DCS reports filed in that month. And we know that on or about the time those DCS reports were filed, Seth Rogers received a call from Chris and Katie that they wanted to put Sebastian in a behavioral center. Basically, you can call it a boys' home. I don't like to call it that. I like to call it a behavioral center. They were having problems
Right,
with
Holly?
Sebastian at home.
Exactly.
They were having problems with
That and the arms.
Sebastian at school. They were kind of at their wits' end with him. According to Seth, they did not have a lot of patience with him,
Terrible.
which is why they had a lot of problems that Seth did not have when he was with Seth. So Seth asked Chris and Katie to send him the name of the organization that they were trying to send him to. They sent him.
Don't know. Every CPS DHS is different. So he would have to get an attorney to look in, California and go by their laws and all that stuff. He had to get an attorney in order to do this, to get the information about these cases. But just remember, the five cases, or the four, I guess, that he knows about, said that would keep you up at night. I can't imagine what the one active now says, in my opinion.
The name. The name of that organization was Bledsoe Youth Academy in Gallatin, Tennessee. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that place.
I don't think I've heard of that.
So they wanted to allegedly put him in a school in Gallatin, Tennessee. Justin, there are tons in the state of Utah, and they wouldn't dig into both parents. I worked at one. If they had one parent signature, they would accept him. There's no laws. Yeah, I mean, it's potentially. I don't think he's in a school. I don't. I just don't. I think it was hell for Sebastian. Really, since the day KK got with him, meaning Edgar. But I think it was particularly hell the last year or two.
Okay. So that was in November of 23. Seth does research on.
And when I tell you guys something here in a little bit, you might be like, oh, okay.
That specific center. And according to Seth, there had been 5 or 6 childhood deaths associated with that facility.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Now, I don't blame Seth for not wanting to put his child in one of these schools. There's been allegedly 5 deaths at the school they were talking about. I just did out of North Carolina. There's a school that a child just recently died in. They closed the school down finally after so many deaths. But hell no. Hell no. And there's just no way.
So when he found that out, he reached out to Chris and Katie again by phone, let them know that under no circumstances was his son going to that facility, and gave them the reason. So they in turn told Seth that if he could find
an attorney for
another behavioral facility that he liked better or that he thought was a safer place for Sebastian, they would allow.
Exactly. At this time, Seth could not get the online school thingy done or whatever. There wasn't enough. And Seth did his research on that school, and he didn't like it, number one. Number two, there had been alleged deaths. And number three, Seth said, if you're going to, do something like this, get it something that helps, his trauma that happened in California under y'all's roof. How about that? Yep. Yep. I don't want to go too much into this, but this is an article. Gallatin's Bledsoe Academy report reported by New Hampshire officials for alleged abuse. A cultural of shame, neglect, and inhumane punishment, quote, end quote. Out-of-state child advocates grew alarmed after checking on boys sent to Tennessee for treatment. So that's a whole article. There's no way in hell I would send my kid to any of these schools.
They would consider that. So the infamous email that people are talking about was simply a forwarded email. I have a copy of it, and I will send it to you guys off the air.
Oh, that'd be great. Thank you.
He reached out to a lady that was a behavioral specialist, and she recommended 4 different centers.
I want to read y'all a text from Chris. I'm not going to show it. I mean, I can, but I have to redact a name out of it, but I'm not going to show it right now. He says, quote, he didn't evaporate. Or sorry. Someone wrote, not Chris. Correct that. The person that wrote this says, quote, he didn't evaporate. Chris, have you asked Katie the hard questions? If the two of you were already having trouble, then she might have felt like she had to choose you or Sebastian, and she chose you, question mark. It happens all the time. Maybe she realized Sebastian would never be able to take care of himself, question mark. And he said that wasn't even an option. That wasn't even an option. So there's that.